2 o'clock on Monday, February 2nd, I'm going to call to order the special meeting of the Resources and Infrastructure Committee. We have a quorum present. We have Mr. Webb, Mr. Grimold, and Mr. Siebert here right now. Mr. Meeks is absent, and Mr. Howell has an excused absent. I don't have a chair report, so trying to keep this meeting moving because we have a lot to talk about. Are there any committee member communications, anything brief that any of the committee members would like to talk about? Seeing none. Let's go to the utility manager's report.
Great, thank you. And thank you for scheduling this special version of R&I report here that we're going to bring to you, this wonderful agenda item here. But I'll bring us up to speed on all the projects that are going on right now, utilities wise in the district. We have our plant EV charger. So real quick, our wastewater plant has 2 EV chargers that we got free from Ford with the purchase of our EV Lightning pickups. With that, we applied at the APCD and PG&E for some funding for that project, and we've got $19,995 coming to us from APCD. We just performed final inspection last Wednesday with Tom Hickey of APCD. Everything went well. He approved all of our installations and looked at all the recordings and records of files and installations there. So we should be seeing that 19,000. So basically $5 short of $20,000 here coming up soon. Again, we've got $8,000 coming to us from PG&E for that project as well. So that paid for a very good portion of the electrification side of that EV trucks. Our San Simeon transmission lines, the district's engineering consultant is preparing exhibits for California State Parks. They want identifying and layers, identifying potholing and boring location within the stakeholder areas, those locations. These exhibits that Ken is basically putting together, coordinating with us and state parks, will be submitted to state parks for review in support of our right of entry permit that we still desperately need from them just to perform some of those preliminary borings and potholing. We do have our Caltrans encroachment permit. We obtained that back in September. We have to file, or we have filed for an extension on that because of the timeline in dealing with state parks and their requests. So that piece and that engineering piece and potholing is still ongoing there. So we're kind of in state parks hands as far as getting ROE for them. Lift station B4, district staff in coordination with MKN Engineering have prepared our application materials for the submittal for our CDP for that project. We know this is a big project. It's in a BRA, a GSA, and it will definitely need a CDP. So we're working together with our environmental consultant regarding CEQA compliance and kind of getting our piece ready for that. It'll be the county's determination what sort of CEQA we file. Obviously, we're hoping it's mitigated on deck. That way we continue sooner with the projects and perform more reports and more surveys. Our ZLD pilot test obviously concluded several months ago. We got almost 98% removal there out of our concentrate. But as of now, all pilot equipment and concentrate have been removed from the WRF facility. H2O Innovations is preparing an evaluation report on the whole process, chemicals used, electrical consumption. So all that we are expecting in the next couple months. We will bring that here to the R&I committee for review and discussion. Once that's received by us in here. AMI installation. Our field installation has been complete for quite some time now. The remaining system integration effort is nearing completion. Final data reconciliation is underway, and staff anticipates access and validating AMI data by later this month. Pretty good assumption. Okay. Our sanitary our sewer system management plan, see, it's still hard for me to say. Is scheduled, and for consideration and approval of the board of directors, next week. And again, thanks for reviewing that with us, during our last meeting. And finally, I'll get to the SR4 roads, our Santa Rosa Wilford Road, which is at Coast Union High School. District staff here met with Jill Sutherland in early January to discuss the expanded project scope of it and to coordinate construction outside of school hours. So the project will now lower that existing 4-inch pressure main sewer that's 18 inches below the surface down to 4, so that will allow for appropriate compaction of that road, because we will be putting 30 or 40 ton chlorine truck on that road at least once a month, if not twice a month there. When we take deliveries during operation periods. So that is scheduled to take place. We've kind of had a tentative date for when school gets out in June. So I think you'll see us breaking ground here this summer on that Santa Rosa Well 4 project. It's become twice the project that it was initially. It was just supposed to be a little slap some base on top, put a fence around it and call it good. Now we're going underground and installing infrastructure the way it should have been initially. So also, as you can see outside, it's been sunny. It's been sunny for quite a while. I don't know if the weeds are high at your house, but they are at mine, and they are high. They are very high here at the perk ponds and at the well fields. So we're working with one of our local dorpers. Did I say that correctly? Dropers. I think it's dropers, right? They're bringing in the sheep and goat. I think this is about our 3rd or 4th year we've done that. It's still the most environmentally friendly and cost-effective way to weed abate out there. So we'll be looking at bringing that in the next couple of weeks as well. And I'll turn it over to Program Manager Reaper if he wants to bring us any other updates or touch on anything that I have graced over.
Nope, I think you did a good job.
Superintendent Meeks, anything you want to share from the water side before we continue?
Kind of unusual this time of year for us to have a few leaks, but we've been repairing leaks in the system. Last week we had a good sized one off Coventry. We got that done in 1 day, so that's all I got.
And that was a mean repair on a dead end 8-inch line. So yeah, well done.
With fire on the end of it.
Yeah.
Yes, we extend our gratitude for CAL FIRE for letting us take up their driveway for the better part of about 9 hours that day. So yeah, thank you, CAL FIRE.
Okay, so we've had some questions about how you're gonna disinfect the Stewart Street tanks and when that's gonna take place and when it's gonna be filled so you could start the other one.
Great, yeah. So 2 of my updates that I did list that we're gonna talk on. One is the Stewart Street tanks, and then the final is our stream bank rehabilitation, which Bill will take over here. So we are at the point now where the exterior and interior coatings have been completed, inspected. There are a couple of what we'll call holidays in the outside that they're still going to touch up. But as of right now, today, we had our cathodic protection installed. We'll also be hooking up our SCADA and a transducer so that we'll know well levels of each tank at all times. And in about a month, we're looking to put that online once these small little final touches go into place. So what we'll be doing is a AWWA C652 method 2, which is a spray and high chlorine application. So every interior surface will be swabbed or sprayed with 200 parts per million chlorine. As long as our appurtenance or our piping going from basically our valve cluster, which is a 4-way cross there, which will go about 30 feet or so to our tank, that will be swabbed out with 200 part per million chlorine disinfection application. From there, we go and fill up that tank with system water. We let it sit for 5 days. We take a bacteriological analysis of that. If it meets the chlorine disinfection ratio, we then test for VOT, volatile organic compounds. So when you mix chlorine, specifically liquid chlorine with organics, they have disinfection byproducts. So we'll be testing that to make sure that there are no volatile organic compounds in there, that the DVPs aren't high, and we'll then get permission to operate from the system when we pass those set of analyses. So in a month, we'll be doing the disinfection process where it'll sit again, kind of stagnant for 5 days. And then we'll come back in and do that bacteriological evaluation. And then from there, the VOC, and then we'll get permission to operate through Division of Drinking Water, which we're trying to coordinate this all in with as well. So during the next month, we'll have some minor repair, not really repairs, but installations going on just for tank level sensing, for our cathodic protection, and some other plumbing. We'll be getting finished up there. Is it the Avon lady?
Might be Mark Meeks.
Anyway, so when those all get completed, then we'll back to you, but we're looking for PTO or permission to operate that tank within the next month. So then if we go online with that tank here by the end of February or start of March rather, we'll be taking that other tank offline then, and we'll start this whole process again. And then we'll be looking for completion of that second tank in August as well.
Okay, anybody in the committee have any questions on the utilities report? No? Okay, we have a hand raised. And this is a special meeting, so the public comment is only on the agenda item, and at the moment it's on the utilities report. So Ms. Dickinson, you want to go ahead and unmute?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is on the utilities report. Mr. Green mentioned that the ZLD pilot study report would not be available for another 2 months. Is that right, Mr. Green? I think that's what you referred to earlier. We were expecting it in January, and then that didn't happen. It was supposedly that Mr. Easter had it ready by the middle of January, but we didn't learn of anything after the January. Of course, that was after the January meeting. So now you're saying 2 months. I think what really concerns me about that is that the Planning Commission will have a hearing of the CDP of the WRF on February 26th. So if there's no report from the ZLD pilot study and what is to go forth from that, or if anything or nothing or whatever, it seems we need to know about that before there's a CDP hearing at the Planning Commission.
Okay, was that, did you have any other questions, or was that it? And then I'll have Mr. Green answer.
I would like to know when a report will be anticipated from Mr. Easter on the pilot study that supposedly was quite successful, 98%. What exactly is going on with Mr. Easter and the pilot study, and from what I understand, a much, much bigger footprint that will be needed in order, if it will work, for us, who's going to pay for it? There's a lot there. And we need to know. The public needs to know.
No, I'm going to have him answer.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Green?
Great. Thank you. Great question, first of all. I said a month or two. Again, he's had just about a month to gather this data, put it together. This is an engineering report. It is not only going to the district, it's also going to NAWI, the funding and sponsor for the pilot as well. So yeah, as much as we'd like that information prior to the meeting, I guess he'll get it done when he gets it done, or we'll see it when H2O Innovations is ready to provide that for us. Unfortunately, it's out of our control as much as we'd like that as soon as possible. I mean, there's nothing more we can do. So I apologize for not having that ready, but we have been in discussions with H2O Innovations and stress the importance of this document. So that's out there and it's duly noted. But thank you for your question. Appreciate it.
And I'll follow up. This was a pilot project that was pretty much funded by NAWI and Global Water Innovations. It is a large report. It's a scientific and very detailed report that Mr. Easter is going to need time to compile. He's not going to throw it together. So once that's complete, as I've discussed with Chair Dean, we'll bring it forward to R&I. If we're fortunate enough that that report happens to generate and produce itself in the next couple of weeks, we'll have that information. We might even have Mr. Easter be at the planning commission meeting to answer some questions if ZLD comes up. ZLD is one component of the brine concentrate disposal issue. And I don't think that's the linchpin in the project in terms of county moving forward with the CDP. So we'll bring forward as much information as we can. We'll talk about the pilot project being successful at the planning commission meeting, and we're waiting on the follow-up report. But the initial data is that we were able to recover 98% from the brine. And so we will talk about that at the planning commission meeting. And as I'm sure it will get appealed to the board of supervisors, that will give us some more time to have that report ready for the board of supervisors, who will ultimately be the gatekeeper to this project moving forward. But we feel comfortable going to the planning commission meeting. We definitely feel comfortable going before the board of supervisors, and we'll have that document ready when it's ready. But that's not in our hands. This was a private company that offered to do this project for the district at little to no cost to us. So I consider it a benefit. We'll be patient and wait for that report.
And I would rather have a comprehensive report detailing everything that's a little tardy than something that was just thrown together to kind of just appease a group of people. So yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, I think Mr. Easter was a little bit overconfident in his timeline of getting the report done.
Yes.
Okay, I don't see any other hands, and we don't have any members of the public present. So I'm going to take public comment on the agenda items as we discuss the agenda item, because this is a special meeting and that is all the public comment is supposed to be on. So the next item on the agenda we're going to discuss is the consent agenda, and this is a consideration to approve the December 2nd, 2025 special meeting minutes, and that's when we did the tour of the ZLD, and the December 15th, 2025 regular meeting minutes. And I'm going to start with the December 2nd meeting minutes. And as I said, this was a tour of the ZLD facility. Does anybody have any corrections on the agenda on the minutes? No, okay, I have one. And it's one we do quite often. There is a comma between the general manager's first and last name, and that needs to be removed. Other than that, that's all I see that needs correcting. And if no one else has any other corrections, can I have a motion to adopt the minutes as written?
I'll make that motion.
Somebody want to second it? Grandma? Okay, is somebody's phone ringing? Is that a phone?
Are those your AirPods?
Yes, and one of our firefighters is looking for their AirPods.
He's calling me.
Who does? Oh, they're yours?
Yep.
Oh, okay, maybe. That's.
Okay. I'm gonna do a roll call. Mr. Webb,
Aye.
Mr. Grimmel,
Aye.
Mr. Meeks,
Aye.
Mr. Seaver.
Aye.
Okay, and Mr. Howell is absent, so we have 4 ayes and 1 member absent. Okay, so going and reviewing the December 15th regular meeting minutes. Does anybody have any corrections? Okay, I have 2. The same comma is appearing between the general manager's first and last name. And then on the item 4B, where we received and discussed the updated prioritized CIP list and general fund CIP budget request. We did not review the general fund CIP budget request. We only reviewed the enterprise funds budget request. So should change that in the minutes?
It would be more accurate.
Pardon me?
It would be more accurate.
Okay. So is everybody okay with that change? Okay, I think that's all I saw on the minutes. So, if no one else has any other corrections, can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
We'll move.
Do I have a second? Okay, I'm gonna do a roll call. Mr. Seaver,
Aye.
Mr. Grimmall,
Aye.
Mr. Webb,
Aye.
Mr. Meeks.
Aye.
Okay, so we have 4 ayes and 1 absent. Okay, let's see here. Ms. Dickinson has her hand raised. This would be on the consent agenda only. We haven't begun regular business yet, and we have been finished, we're finished with the utilities report. So, Ms. Dickinson, do you have any public comment on the consent agenda?
I just have a comment on on what you just voted on very quickly, and that was on a site visit to the WRF-CLD. I would like to know if there was a representative there from the regional board, and also was there a representative from the Coastal Commission at the site visit?
This was just a site visit for us to tour the pilot project, and it was an R&I meeting. And all that was there were R&I committee members, members of quite a few of the staff departments, 3 people from Global Water Innovations, and I think there was 3 or 4 people from NAUI, but no, there were no agency members
And
present.
the Wallace Group, well, there were people listed, so the Wallace Group or somebody from the Wallace Group was listed, but
Not on the
nobody,
same- Not on the
but
same.
so
tour.
nobody from the regional board or the Coastal Commission.
No,
Well, not for this trip, but
Not-
they were out during the pilot. All of the above said regulatory compliance agencies were there.
they were just
Okay.
not there during the R&I's tour, but they
Right,
were
oh,
there.
that's what I was asking. All right, thank you.
Okay. Okay, moving on to regular business, we have discussion and consideration regarding the Santa Rosa Creek Stream Bank Repair and Enhancement Project, and we're to provide recommendations to the board of directors. Who would like to start on this? Is that,
This is my item.
okay,
This is,
Good afternoon, members of the committee. My name is Bill Henry. I'm with Vistaro Environmental. It's a one-person firm. I started this last year. I have 36 years of environmental consulting experience here on the Central Coast. And Jim and his team invited me to help them facilitate this project. And so today I want to give you an overview of the project. I want to talk about the need for it, steps we've taken so far, steps that we plan to take, and then open it up for questions. So I'll get going on my presentation. The project, Stream Banks, Santa Rosa Stream Bank Stabilization Project is located on the western edge of Santa Rosa Creek. If you go, yeah. Next slide. Yeah, please. I changed it online, but, okay, there you go, thank you. It's located on the western bank of the Santa Rosa Creek, just east of the Santa Rosa Creek Trail on the Fiscalini Ranch Preserve. You probably all have a pretty good idea of where it's located. Looking at that photo, it's about 1.5 miles upstream from Moonstone Beach. And it's just adjacent to and downstream from a section of the creek that was that suffered stream bank loss in the early 2000s and was successfully repaired. The project itself is to restore about 150-foot section of the stream bank. The goal is to repair that section, restore it, keep that section of the bank from eroding any further. With further erosion, there's the potential not only for the loss of the Santa Rosa Creek Trail, but for a wastewater trunk line that's located in the middle of that trail, probably about 4 feet deep. That line carries 169,000 gallons of wastewater a day. It's one of the prime movers of wastewater in the community. The trail is very important. As you can see in this photo here, there's the lift station in the background. The trail provides not only recreational opportunities to the community, but operational and maintenance needs to the CCSD. I'm going to run you through a couple pictures. This picture is looking south along the Santa Rosa Creek Trail toward where the trail comes off of Highway 1, off of the western side of Highway 1. This is proposed to provide the access to the project when the project is built. And then behind me is, where also the project would be staged. The project would be, designed, permitted and, built with, agency input, the agency permits, key stakeholder permit, and then there's a host of Fiscalini Ranch Preserve, management plans, documents. There's the EIR that went along with the CDP for the ranch, and all of those will be taken into consideration as we move through the, design and permitting process of this project. The need of the project, really, I think, went into high gear during the winter of 22, 23, when, approximately 10 to 15 feet of the stream bank was lost in this area. There was before that loss, there was a decent buffer between the edge of the bank and the trail and the wastewater trunk line. There now is, about 2 to 7 feet, as you can see in that picture, of stream bank left, before it hits the trail. And then probably another 10 to 15 feet before it gets into the zone of where the wastewater trunk line is. It's hard to tell, from this photo. I really wanted badly to climb down into the creek and take photos looking up, but it's pretty incised, and I didn't want to get my feet wet. Kidding about that, but those photos will probably come later. It's a good piece of erosion there, definitely. This is an aerial of Tristan. I'm really sorry. Yeah. This is an aerial photo from 2018. The white circle shows the area where the project would be built. You can see, in looking at this photo, the Santa Rosa Creek Trail. And you can see a contiguous line of riparian vegetation. You can see the channel to the right of that stream bank vegetation. And at that time, things were moving the way they should through the creek. If you could go to the next slide, please. This photo is from 2025. It shows the project site. As you can see, there's quite the contrast from the photo in 2018. That riparian vegetation is no longer there. It's no longer contiguous, and the stream it veers to the west before veering to the northeast right there. And you can see it's it's pointedly moving toward that bank that's in jeopardy of eroding further. Next slide, please. And again, a lot of what you saw in that last aerial photo happened during the winter of 22, 23. It doesn't take much in the way of a wet winter. It often is 1 or 2 storms in succession that are very flashy storms with lots of rainfall in a short period that brings the creek level up really high, and that does the damage. Again, this photo is showing the area of the project site. In the background there, you can see some vegetation in the shaded area. That's the toe of a slope that constitutes the other side of the Santa Rosa Creek Trail. And I wanted to point that out because there's not a lot of room to move the trunk line at this point. The trunk line was already moved away from the creek, I think in 2005. So as to create a buffer from these types of events. However, in this particular area, it's become a pinch point. And like I said, there's not a lot of room to work there any longer. So the priority is to reclaim, restore, and fix that stream bank and hopefully keep it from happening further. Next, please. This is, again, the same picture that I think I started out with. So it's viewing north toward the lift station. We'll move on to the next one. Next slide, please. Also, Yeah, thanks. This is where the Santa Rosa Creek Trail, it's probably all familiar to you, but this is where the trail, this is looking east, and where the trail hits Highway 1. And this is where access would be taken, during the construction process. So, next slide. The steps we've taken, so far are to have prepared a draft project description. You all have a copy of that in your packet. I want to emphasize that it's a draft. The reason it's not a final is because it won't become final until after a design consultant, an engineering consultant, the environmental consultant gets involved, has conversations with key stakeholders, with the regulatory agent, does their work, which will include a hydraulic evaluation, looking at flows, perhaps geotechnical work if they recommend that. The gathering of that information through that work will dictate the final version of the project description. So again, we wanted to prepare a draft project description so that we could have something to more thoroughly communicate with the agencies with and with key stakeholders. I think too, you had a letter from the Fiscalini Ranch folks, Kitty and her team. That was the beginning of our stakeholder outreach, and having had that draft project description, I think helped facilitate that conversation. There was also an RFP in your packet. That is an RFP that we prepared to solicit an engineering and environmental firm to come in and do the heavy lifting on the project, to do the design, to do the studies, to work closely with the agencies, hopefully get their phone calls returned from CDFW in a timely manner, and obtain the permits so that the project can be built. However, right before, well, not right before, but here shortly, the RFP is going to go to the CSD's board for review. If approved, then it will be sent out and we will hopefully get a good number of competitive proposals that we'll review and use to select a consultant. That consultant will do their work, hopefully starting in Q2 of this year. We want to get this process really moving in earnest as quickly as possible because it will take time. And if everything goes well, we could potentially be fixing that stream bank at the end of 2027. I want to emphasize, though, that that will be very dependent on external variables, like the schedule of the permitting agencies who have to issue the permits before any work can be done. Next slide, please. So yeah, late 2027 or if in 2028, within an allowable work window. I say allowable work window because oftentimes that allowable work window is late fall, when water flows are at their lowest and when it's easy to do things like dewatering a section of a creek, a major creek like Santa Rosa Creek. And I just pointed out that all of this will be dependent upon some external variables such as regulatory agencies and their permits. However, we want to do everything on our end to expedite everything that's within our control. The next slide leads us to questions. Here to hopefully answer questions.
I'm just quickly reading through the background of the draft, project description draft. And it states that in 2003, 150-foot section upstream of this was successfully repaired. Why? And so this erosion just found some other place to go, right? So it's taken out another section. What makes you think if we do this section, it's going to come out somewhere else? And are we going to be doing any kind of like you kind of, get out of that show there, really, that this is comprehensive enough to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. The section just upstream that was, restored, that project was done, I believe, by the, Sounds Fiscal Land Conservancy. I'm not sure what kind of, background studies they did to, to design their project at that time, and whether they looked at where they were doing the work was a big enough area. However, for this section and for this go round, we're not assuming that the area that was shown in the 2025 aerial as being severely eroded is the only part that's going to need to be done. The engineering firm that we want to choose, and I mean, there is a specific engineering firm, but the firm is going to be a firm that's going to be able to answer that question and say, not only do, for example, say, not only do you need to do this area that looks immediately jeopardized, but you might need to go X number of feet downstream. And to answer your question about will it be scientifically based, that's what we want to see. With, for instance, backup from the hydraulic analysis.
Is there a curve in this stream right where this erosion is taking place? Is that why it's taking place there?
Tristan, yeah, if you can go back. Oh, definitely, yeah, it sort of aims toward the area of erosion. Kind of going, what would that be, northwesterly?
Yeah.
It rebounds off the bank right there and goes northeasterly. So it isn't an elbow of a creek. It's an area that,
It's carved out this whole way, right? Where it was continuous.
yeah, and, you know, I mean, it's interesting when you have these high flows, you can have some pretty interesting and unpredictable things happen. You know, debris gets stuck in certain areas and that can exacerbate the situation in an area like this where you already have a lot of energy that's being directed toward the stream bank.
And so what, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. I haven't had a chance to read it, so if it's in here, please excuse the question. But,
No problem.
what do you envision? Do we envision what, like, are we forming and pouring a, like a seawall, or are we bringing in large aggregates, or what?
We're not envisioning, there is a section in that draft project description that lays out a number of different, possibilities. And I want to emphasize possibilities because we want to leave the input and decision-making as to what's most appropriate to the people that have the most, who have the best understanding of that from an engineering and scientific standpoint. The hydraulics and so forth. So we don't want to go into this process, with a preconceived notion of what we think is best. We want to do our due diligence so that the best solution can be proposed. And then it goes through a process of working with the agencies, getting their feedback. It's
What agencies are involved?
well, starting from, at the local level, the, county of San Luis Obispo is involved. Then
I'm sure.
going to the state level, you have the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, or formerly known as Fish and Game. You have the Regional Water Quality Control Board. At the federal level, you have the Army Corps of Engineers, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and National Marine Fisheries Services. So, it's a heavily, laden regulatory process and an area where you have a lot going on because you have federal jurisdiction there due to it being stream. You have steelhead, probably almost certainly have red-legged frog.
Yeah.
So
It's ecologically significant.
it's ecologically significant, and I think I inadvertently omitted in my presentation that is an important part of this project. The condition that it's in right now is not ideal, from an ecological standpoint. Having that continuous line of riparian vegetation there is what you want to see, with a healthy stream, ecosystem. So the project will also achieve that when built and restored, which will take time. Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, so, I noticed a list of the equipment that needs to be used or could be used
Yeah.
for this project, so. And I noticed that you're talking about a line for the steelhead to still go through. So are we talking about bringing equipment down into the creek bed?
That's a good question. My experience on projects like these, especially if you have a nice flat, I mean, this would be spacious by a lot of stream bank repair project standards, area to work. You can do the work you need to do without getting equipment down into the bank. There might need to be a generator somewhere, for instance, during the dewatering part of the project. And that generator might need to be somewhere in the stream bed. And this is all in, complete speculation. This is where our environmental and, our engineering and environmental consultant will come in and say, oh, no, you've got, nice gradient here. We can do a check dam up top and run a, water diversion line through here during work, and they can do what they need to do to build out the project, without putting equipment down into the actual stream bed.
Yeah.
So, that'll also be something that gets worked out during it'll start with the design, whatever the final project description is. That design will dictate what materials need to be used and how those materials, get installed. And that dictates the equipment that's gonna be needed and the area that's gonna be needed. So the draft project description was merely to say, here's a broad spectrum of possibilities.
Because I can see, Fish and Wildlife being really concerned about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it's not like you can just drive out of that section of the creek, very easily. You have to go a long ways unless you have a ramp right there, which is not likely to be feasible.
The project will be heavily regulated.
Yeah.
I think that's understandable. Yeah.
Okay, let me see if anybody, the attendees on Zoom have any questions. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Henry? Your name is two first names.
I have two first names, yeah.
Okay, does anybody in the public have any questions? I don't see any hands. We'll give it another minute. Okay. Okay, so, thank you for your
Welcome.
presentation, very thorough.
Welcome.
So, and I want to thank a member of the public for one of the photos that I see was put on the screen. So, okay, so this was supposed to be a discussion and consideration and to provide recommendation to the CCSD Board of Directors. So do we have a motion to forward a recommendation to the Board of Directors on this project?
We're asking for $6,800 to push this study, right?
And that's a board decision.
Yeah, but that's what we're asking.
Yeah, we're asking them to consider moving forward with this. Okay, so I have a motion?
My motion.
Do I have a second? Okay, I'm gonna take a roll call. Mr. Meeks?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Mr. Grimald?
Aye.
Mr. Seaver? Okay, so we have 4 ayes and 1 member absent. So future agenda items. We do have a meeting scheduled. Is that the 17th or 18th, Haley?
7. I believe it's 17.
17th.
Yeah, 17.
17th. Okay, so that is, meeting is going to be held at the Stewart Street Tanks. So we can get a look at how beautiful it looks. and get some updates on what's going on with it and the next steps in the project, although we did hear some of it today, but you haven't gone and looked at it while he's telling you.
Yeah, you kind of got a before with our site visit and then an after.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So does anyone else have any future agenda items that they would like to see?
I just have a question about, I vaguely remember we were gonna meet with the, finance committee at some point, and that never happened. Is that still on the?
You know, the finance committee, I don't think they've had it on their agenda yet. Ms. Dodson might be able to tell me, but they were going to look at what we referred to them on the CIP projects.
Yeah, we never even really met on the CIP.
Yes, we did. You weren't here.
Oh.
Yeah, we looked at, I don't think you were here. We looked at the future. It was the, second meeting in December.
Yeah, I always ask.
Yeah, I think you were absent.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and eventually we will have another meeting to go over Mr. Easter's data whenever that
Absolutely.
happens. Okay. So if we have no other suggestions for the agenda, we can go ahead and adjourn the meeting, and it is 2:46.